Okay, everybody. I hope you can hear me all right. I'll be starting soon. I wanted to come on here. There are a few other things that I wanted to talk about. I found it very interesting that I'm not going to go off, but I find it very interesting some of the things that we talk about on here, and and then later on we may have a consideration of what was said, and we find ourselves thinking about very similar things. So I just find that really interesting. But that's just me. I'll hit that like button. I see 6 people in here. Y'all hit that like button and everything. But yeah, so Nameless, hopefully he'll show up unless he has other things going on. That is cool. I can rock with that. And anybody up here, you can come. Hey, how you doing, Crimson Cure? Anybody up here, you can come through. What's going on, Malika? And it's I don't have an issue with that. What's going on, Mr. Wusa? Thank you for coming to my channel. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate everybody being here. So what Nameless sent me was very interesting. He sent me a link to a video, and I found this interesting as well. Maybe last year with Obsidian. And even the year before, I believe, but he would always bring up Thomas Sowell. I heard a lot of other people bringing up Thomas Sowell, and for a while I was like, man, when people talk bad about you, or even talk real bad or real good about you, when it's extremes on either side, you got to kind of figure out what's going on. Like, what did the person really do, or what did the person really say? Is this person for us or not, as a people? And so, and you can't always go by the institution the person works for. You can't always go by that. And sometimes you can't even go by the publications they put out when there's like 10 other people on the paper. Good evening, Supreme Edmore, Asha Walker. How you doing? But when you have a person sitting face to face, especially if it's an educated Negro, sitting face to face with a white man, sometimes the truth comes out in more ways than one. And what I found was, like, a lot of things he was saying describes social dominance theory, also describes a lot of the confusion that's been going on this week, I guess, with conservative, non-conservative, progressive, liberal, a lot of the political aspects of what's going on, and what's been talked about. This interview that was not really interview, more of a just discussion that was had between Dr. Thomas Sowell, and William F. Buckley Jr. It was a discussion that was really, he wanted it. I think Buckley wanted to focus it more on the Black community, but the discussion was focused on, in my opinion, the haves and have-nots. How you doing, Robert Benjamin? Thank you for stopping by. And so that's what I got from it. It was a discussion between the haves and have-nots, why they don't have it. One thing I noticed is one word that didn't come up a lot, I don't think it came up at all, was racism. I believe the word bias, discrimination, things like that came up. A lot of the issues, like I know Nameless had said, that a lot of the issues that are talked about in this space can somewhat be misinterpreted from from the point of view of Thomas Sowell, if you're going to talk from Thomas Sowell as a philosopher, as a person who has put a lot of ideas into play to study them. He didn't study them just for the sake of studying them. He studied them for development of policy. So Nameless said that he broke down the theory of social dominance, and this is like 39, 40 years ago when this occurred. And he is misquoted, he is misinterpreted, and we can't afford to misinterpret people that are putting information out there. If somebody's gonna do something bad to you, like, at least know what they said. Like, why? I mean, if they're planning something, this big, huge thing that they're planning to do, okay, well, what is the mindset that's going on? That's why we're talking about this stuff. Like, why are you doing this? What is the plan of action? What's the strategy? What are your tactics? Gathering intel. It's very important. Excuse the background noise. I got some babies here. They run around the house and stuff. I don't know what they're doing in there. Anyway, but so he is misquoted a lot. And what I see is that the misquoting goes not just with politics and philosophy and history and economics, because Thomas Sowell is PhD, I believe PhD in economics. With economics, you have, of course, philosophy, psychology is involved there. You need to understand how people work, why they do what they do, why they're doing this particular job, why they're spending their money here. Can we push them to buy this product or buy that product? Certain people make a certain amount of money. They buy, this brand versus that brand. So yeah, it's a very intricate field of study. But I noticed that a lot of people, when they talk about him, and it's not just Thomas Sowell, it's other people. I'm using him as a symbol, as an example of people who are articulating what it is they have studied and have evidence for at that particular time. But people are either accidentally or maybe unintentionally or inadvertently or even on purpose misinterpreting what he has said. And that's why I put the link in the description box, so you all can go to that video if you want and watch it. I will warn you, it is about an hour long. What's going on, Soup Bone? Fitness Mom, how are you doing? It is about an hour long. It does get quite dense. There is a lady that comes on later. I forget her name. She has glasses on. I believe she's a lawyer. But she comes on and she's asking both of them questions after they've had their 40 or so minutes to discuss, in general, basically the state of, in an indirect way, very slick. Buckley is really slick about stuff, the way he positions his questions and stuff. But in a very indirect, slick way, asking, what is the state of the Black community? Now, some people will say, why you ask Thomas Sowell? He ain't on the ground with us. He don't do this, that, and the other. But he has a bird's eye view and a broader spectrum, a broader lens to look through. And he's done study after study after study on different demographics over time. He compared, at one point, they compared like a 50-year-old Black person to a 50-year-old Jewish person, and said that their economics were more distant from each other than a 20-year-old Black person compared to a 20-year-old Jewish person. And he was explaining, he didn't go into detail, but he was really explaining, of course, we know generational wealth. And he was also explaining how the market has changed and things have happened education-wise, the way people are educated. They went into detail on that. From my perspective, every single point that they gave, every single little mini back and forth that they had during this large discussion hit all the points of human activity. Hit economics. Obviously, number one, he's an economist. It hit education, because if you're talking about jobs, you have to talk about education. At some point, it's going to come up. No, Craig, the tech guy. No, I'm not. Anyway, so they did mention a little bit about entertainment in an indirect way, because he talked about Buckley brought up about like advertisement, stuff like that. So that'll be your entertainment. And then let's see, what's the next one? Labor, clearly economics, jobs. Labor law, well, labor leads into law. Policy, that's policy or politics, which would be, some of his studies would be used to either enhance or pull back on a lot of the politics, a lot of policy or laws that are made. And religion, I'm going to come back to that one. And then sex, and then war. So religion, they really didn't go into that. But I think from some of the questions that Buckley asked, he seemed to be the type of person that assumes that all Black people are Christian. And that some of the fields that we would go into, that's out of the norm for us to go into, I think. So they really didn't go into religion as much. That was some of the things he said. I implied that myself. Sex, they really didn't talk about that, except for when Buckley kept bringing up lingerie. I don't know what that was about. But yeah, he was really talking about, sex kind of did come up, but in a very warped way, where Buckley brought up something about feminism in a way, where he was saying that if you have a football game on, like if you're an advertiser or a corporation, you have advertisements on there. What's going on, RD? And you put on, you have a football game going, you're not going to have commercials with lingerie. But maybe we need to classify or categorize the audience that we're selling to. Maybe there's a man who's watching the game with his woman, his wife or girlfriend with him there. So maybe we do need to show commercials, to sell to her as well. And Sowell's face was like, what the hell? Like, what? Because you have to remember, at that time, I don't think that was something that was, I guess, acceptable, or something that was common for women to be sitting around with men watching football games. I guess that just wasn't the norm as much back then. But he kind of tried to put men and women on the same couch together watching TV, and but at the same time, what do we see now? What commercials do we see now when they have football games on? If you ever go to a football game, professional NFL game, you got men and women there together with, the beer hats on and jerseys and all that stuff. So I don't know. But the other side of it is where Sowell responded in a more responsible way at the time. And he said that, well, I don't think that, women would, it was another conversation about women and sex and stuff was kind of coming into this a little bit. And he was saying, I never thought to, I never thought about that as far as an advertisement, push for women. And Buckley asked him something else about women, and he went into he had these feminist type of questions that were kind of weird and loaded. But he was like, well, as a Black person, or as myself, I never really thought to be an officer, police officer. I never thought, I see Black police officers and all this stuff. I never thought I would, think to do that. And he's like, maybe, women think a certain way. He was trying to look at it from a woman's perspective. I think Buckley was just trying to make a joke or whatever, but it kind of fell flat. But Sowell took the high road in a lot of the conversation. That's what I saw. And he was like, if I was a woman at, this time, I would have other goals and aspirations. I would want to be a wife, mother, have children, clean up the house and stuff. He said, I also noticed in studies that show um, women who have these higher education degrees are less likely to get married. And if they do get married, they are more likely to be divorced. So that's maybe not something they want to do, as far as getting higher education. Maybe that's something that's not for them at this time. But, and just in that example I'm giving, those two examples I'm giving you, one where they're talking about advertising to women and men simultaneously, and the other where they're talking about how you're, as a female, wanting to be more economically independent. There's a trade-off there of being economically independent. In both indications, both of those times they're having this discussion, I noticed that Sowell took the high road. Like he actually talked about, hey, this is what I think would be a better option, or this is he very easily swayed the conversation to a higher level where you could say, okay, that makes sense. And he backed it up with what? The evidence. So, hold on 1 minute. We got a severe alert. Wildfire alert. Okay. Okay. I'm getting these imminent alert, weather alerts and wildfire alerts on my phone while I'm talking. What's going on, Shop Talk? I'm gonna have to go back and listen to your live later because I know y'all had some spoilers in there. That book. I know y'all had some spoilers. Y'all talking about foundation and everything. But yeah. So what's going on, Esquire? Yeah, so my point is we can't afford it. What can't we afford? We can't afford to misinterpret people's ideas and potential, their ideas that could lead to potential strategies for, whether it's politics, whether it's science, tech, whatever. And when people read a book or read someone's information, try to read the whole thing, try to understand, because and also understand where the person was coming from at that time, what was going on at that time when they wrote what they did, when they put pen to paper and or they put fingers to typewriter keys, because that's probably what he was using back then, a typewriter, to type out some of the things that he talked about, that he was talking about. But I remember one thing that was said in that discussion that was had was really about one thing that was said but then not really spoken about again was the hiring, how hiring is going back and forth. They were going back and forth about hiring and how, well, it's not the manager's fault this is happening. It's not the manager's fault that, this certain group of people aren't being hired. It's not the manager's fault. And so every single point of contention that they had between each other, all I could think of, which I wrote back in the email to Nameless, was policy, goddamn policy. It's all policy. So when you got people up here that's supposed to be conservative or whatever, and they talking about, it ain't about no policy. It ain't about policy. Oh my God. You're going back and forth. Really though, it ain't about policy, because that's not how this works. It's not about rugged individualism. It's not about, I'm gonna do for me and y'all gonna do for you. I don't care about them Negroes over there. I got it. Why y'all ain't got it? Y'all ain't got it. And I hear the women say it too. Oh my goodness, I got it. Why y'all ain't got it? Y'all a mess. Y'all just doing this and doing that. You're wrong. And I get that. But if there's no lesson in that, then you just blowing smoke. It don't go nowhere. You just blowing smoke, man. Well, it is going somewhere. It's going in the air and ain't nobody gonna catch it. But my point is okay, you mad but you don't realize you black. Like, you black too. What's going on, imprints? Like, how you don't see that? Like, you look in the mirror, and you know what? And I will say personally, and I was wrong for this. I would say that based on a lot of the things that were said about Thomas Sowell, I thought, okay, this dude is like old school Jesse Lee Peterson. And then when I went and read some of the stuff, and then I'm hearing this interview, I was like, oh, okay. They were cutting and pasting. You cannot cut and paste people's knowledge, people's information, people's studies that they have put out. They have worked on publishing, and putting together, and then presenting it to an audience, this very specific audience. Because if you have an issue with some of the things they've said, present what they did, don't what they said or what they did. Don't present what you think they said or they did. You can give your interpretation, but present it and let people take that and decide if it's right or wrong. What's going on, Mike B? Much respect. Thank you for stopping by. But don't just be like, well, he was wrong. He know what he's talking about. Or the other side, which is even more dangerous in my opinion, where you're like, oh, this dude, he's so awesome. He's awesome, 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 blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know this dude. Give an objective reference, like point of view, like this is what it is or what they said. This is why they said it. This is the time frame of why they, when they said it. And this is how they came about their conclusions. This was their problem. This is what they hypothesized. This is how they studied it. And this is their conclusion. Hey, Tom Malone, what's going on? So yeah, that's basically my point. That's really all I had to say, because this stuff is it's getting ridiculous. Like, and I remember people, talking about Thomas Sowell, even in non-political spaces, people talk about Thomas Sowell, believe it or not, because a lot of things that he has said, like I said earlier, have been misinterpreted, but a lot of things he said have been taken seriously. To look at labor going into the future, especially now. This is a very critical time to look at labor as far as regulations. There's a lot of farms out here where they're processing produce, and a lot of people that work on those farms are getting sick, testing positive for COVID, but they don't have symptoms. Or they're testing positive, and especially even now it's happening, but months ago that was happening. A lot of people were testing positive. So a lot of the things that he said, a lot of things that his institute said, a lot of things that other authors and economists said is potentially having to be reviewed and analyzed at this time. So I'm going to leave it at that. If anybody wants to come up, that's cool. I just feel like we have to do what the thumbnail says. Show me the evidence. And he did say that. He was like, well, I need to see the evidence. There are people out here talking, and they don't have evidence of what's going on. And I just want to see, like, where's their study? And he's right. He was right when he said that. And see, that's not something that I've heard anybody mention. Just those 4 words. Show me the evidence. Show me the money. Show me the evidence of what you're saying is true or not true. I have done many experiments where I did one yesterday where I was like, you know what? I'm going to disprove my own experiment I did the other day. The one I did Tuesday proved my hypothesis to be true. I purposefully set up an experiment where I wanted to disprove that. I was like, let me try to disprove it. And then, well, it didn't work, but it still, it didn't disprove the hypothesis. So I know my hypothesis is strong. It didn't work, meaning that I got no data. Like I tried it, I ran the experiment, I did it and tried to disprove myself, and it didn't work. I didn't get anything. I didn't get any data. So I was like, So my first mind was like, okay, my hypothesis is true. And then my second mind, like, the little voice in your head that's like, wait a minute now. That voice was like, hold on, maybe your samples were old. So I'm going to try it again. But as of now, as it stands now, my hypothesis from Tuesday was true. And my data has proven that. And I have statistical evidence to show that it's true. What's going on, Anthony Taylor? How you doing? So this is piggybacking on a piggyback, but hopefully y'all can follow what I'm saying. If I'm not making myself clear, please let me know. Because as I said, I don't want people to be misinterpreted, myself included. I don't want what I'm saying to, seem offensive or any kind of way today. I'm feeling good today. I'm not frustrated as I was. I was very frustrated the other day. The way that Mike was disrespected, and the way that he tried to just bring forth the information, and it from several sources and several times in history. It was just like, you don't know what you're talking about. No, victim. Okay, like, I ain't got time. Like, Mike you have a lot of patience. I'd be like, look, dog, I don't have no time for you. But Mike is very respectful. He stood his ground. He said what he said. And I appreciate that. You showed the map. That map, very important, because when you're talking about Thomas Sowell, you're talking about people like this, even Buckley and others at that time in 1981, comparing that with the neoconservative ideology that we look at it now. If you're conservative, but your states, which are mostly in the South, are very poor, how is this representative of what you're standing for? That was good statements that were questions that were asked. What's going on, Dead Set? But yeah, like I said, this is just a few thoughts of what I had following up on the debate, and my response, I guess you can call it. Not too proud of it, but my response. And so I feel like Thomas Sowell, an example person who, like I said in the description box, whose words and works are misinterpreted. Not just his words, but his works are misinterpreted. And in my opinion, that sets a dangerous precedence, because you could be on the right side of history and people completely take a few words you said here and there, or even words you said in your later age, and flip it on you, and all of your work you've done for 30, 40 years is discarded. That's sad. The broke genius, he said, I keep listening. I'm like, damn, do I gotta go back to college and get a PhD? I don't think that I don't think that's necessary, unless that's something you want to do. No, it's just a lot. I think a lot of it is, reading and thinking. I think really a lot of it is thinking about what this person, why they wrote this, what was their purpose. And see, I originally thought that Sowell wrote a lot of things because of the institute, of the pressure or the intimidation of the institute. And I said, no, I went back and looked at his education, everything. I was like, wait, I put myself in his shoes, and it made more sense to me of how people misinterpret you, how they pretend that they don't understand what it is you're saying, when you can be as clear and concise, it just as clear as the sun, the morning sun, just right there in your face, and you're just like, I told you what it was, and they're like, that's not what you said. Okay, I'm done. Exactly, Mike. When he rejected redlining and Jim Crow as a policy, he said I was about done. I would have been like, I'm done. Bye. Thank you, X. Thank you, I keep calling her Professor X. Prophet of Thought, Teapot, thank you so much. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good night. Peace, y'all. Good night. Hit my Cash App. Like, I would have ran away. Like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, redlining and Jim Crow. I mean, my father, I remember a few days ago, Art of Idmore, shout out to him. He was saying, his dad in his 60s, and my father as well is in his 60s. And he said his dad remembered Jim Crow. My father remembered Jim Crow. He told me about how he grew up, about how things were, And y'all already know my dad is like 1970s. Like, he uses, oh my God, he uses so much 1970s jargon. It's not even funny, Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mike, for the Cash App. But yeah, he remembers that. He remembers, he took us to where he grew up. It was way in the woods. House had been covered by kudzu. We have a lot of kudzu in the South, and had been covered by kudzu. You could see the stovepipe, sticking out the top of the house, and there was a small wooden porch. It reminded me of like a general store, like a wooden store with some brick, and to think that many kids, 15 kids, but 14 survived past the age of 2. So 14 kids in the house, and, my grandmother, my dad's mom, died when he was like 2 years old. So his dad is raising them and everything. My dad is very, very smart when it came to math. And coming up, he going into the military, and going on from there, doing what he wanted to do, redlining Jim Crow. He was like, when at his time, in his time back in those days, as he always says, back in my day, he always says back in my day. Oh gosh. But he always says back in my day, you had to cross the street. Couldn't look a white man in the eye. My dad's very, very, very fair skinned. Almost passing, but they still knew, like, he's not passing. You're not there. Like, you're not one of us. So he told me about that, the redlining and the redistricting and how things were. He said we were dirt poor. We had holes in the floor. Dirt poor. You had to take cloth and stuff and stuff it down in the holes in the winter, and then the summer, you're worried about a snake coming up into the house, and you're having to repatch things and do this and do that, take care of each other as siblings, can't go anywhere by yourself, all that type of stuff. It was like, you guys got it made nowadays. You can walk down the street, no problem. This was a few years ago. He was like, you guys can walk down the street, it's not an issue. Now he's starting to see, he's like, wow, after Ahmaud Arbery, are you kidding me? That's why I'm gonna call y'all conservatives right now. That's what I'm gonna do. Cause are you fucking kidding me? Like, I couldn't even watch the video. I was like, oh wow. And you sit here, like, going off on somebody that actually knows what the hell they're talking about. Yeah, they had outhouses too. Broke genius. Yeah, definitely. They had outhouses. They had, the line. We had the clothesline. My dad was saying, yeah, they had a clothesline. They had the, what do you call it? Washboards. My grandma had a washboard we had to use. I used to cut my hand on it. But yeah, all of that type of stuff. Then think of that time, my dad going into the military with these types of dudes, with these neoconservatives and stuff. These pre-neoconservatives and these libertarian type dudes in the South going into the military, going overseas with people like this. And then people will come on here at this time and they want to preach about rugged individualism as if that's ever worked. Not even just looking at my dad, his family, but looking at how, once he got out of high school and doing what he's doing, like, he was like, you can't do this on your own. Like, any of this stuff out here, you got to have some assistance. You got to have somebody, a support system with you. The thinking you can do on your own for the most part, but just the support and nourishment that you need, it comes from the community. And when you're dealing with politics, you're dealing with a community. You're dealing with people putting things into place, allocating resources not for your stupid self with all your zeros on your check and your bank account. Like, I got my money, why y'all can't get y'all's? I got my money, why you can't get yours? Like, no, it ain't for y'all. It ain't for you. Actually, no, it is for you. Even the sillies get some money and get some resources allocated to them. I take that back. I was wrong. Even the silly, even they get some money or get something. But if you sitting back saying, well, I got my money and I'm good, and y'all just victims, that is a tired ass line. Like, when are they going to stop using that? It's like ridiculous. Nobody gonna like, like, you're gonna be 55, 60 years old, and you still gonna be saying that somebody gonna call you a victim. Get your old ass off the ground, you victim. Like, well, I ain't got no Social Security because I don't like socialism. I can't get Social Security. I want to go to the public library and read, but I can't get over there because that's socialism, communism. And they're gonna be like, get your old ass off the ground. You're being a victim. You're a victim. Your old victim ass. You're an old victim. You got that victimhood mentality. We ain't gonna do nothing for you. Hey, Sonny, can you take me to the bank? I need to cash my check. Let me go cash my check real quick. It ain't nothing but $250, but I just got it in the mail. I need to go cash. Get your old ass out of my car. You ain't good. Go get your Uber. This ain't no victim car. You wanna be a victim? Go get on a bus. Catch a flight. Like, catch a bus, dude. Catch a bus, dude. You old man, get out of here. Yeah, see, you have to think about stuff like that. You're gonna get old soon. You're gonna get old. Everybody gonna get old, but what the thing is, you still gonna be dumb. The broke genius said he said then he went to, you talking about something different. Businesses with his army comrade became, oh yeah. You talking about let's see. I think you're talking about your dad. Let me go up. Oh, you said your grandfather. Yeah. Oh, wow. Hold up, broke genius. Wait a minute now. Hold on. Army comrade became a millionaire. How you broke now? Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my God. That's another thing. He said my issue is they claim conservative but live in liberal states like New York City. Yeah, they live in New York, but they like, I'm conservative. Like, okay, move to South Carolina. All right. Matter of fact, get your pen and paper out. I'll give you some counties you can go to. Union County. Let's start there. Richland County. Dorchester County. Charleston County. Let's go there. You can be on down there with BMT. I know he'll whoop your ass. Okay. Let's go to some counties. Thank you, Vernon King. Thank you for that super chat. Let's go to some counties. Let's go up highway. Let's go up 17 north. Let's go to Johns Island. Let's go to Camden. Let's go to Alabama. Let's go down there. Huh? let's go to water's murky out in the woods somewhere where you can't really see what's going on when you're walking down. Actually, let's go anywhere in South Carolina where there's a dirt road. That's about 3/4 of the state. Torian, no, I ain't lying. What's going on, Torian? Vernon King, Jim Rat, what's going on? I mean, all those types of places. Go to a state where, and then to give the childish, asinine response to that, you're a conservative, but you live in a liberal state like New York or California or something, then to say, I'm supposed to move to a southern state just because of that. No, but look at the logic that you're using. It's not even logic. Look at the words that you're saying. There's no logic there. And that is what I would give Sowell credit for. He's logical. Even when Buckley tried to throw him off with a lot of illogical statements, he tried his best, y'all. He really did. William was like, "Oh, what about this? What?" He's like, "Dude, come on. I've studied that. Like, I've already studied that. I already know what's going on there." Like, he just broke it down. He was like, "Hey, this is what it is, and that's it. Next." I will say it was a very smooth conversation, and I'm glad they had it. I will say that about going back to that interview or that discussion between Buckley and Sowell, it was smooth. I wish that some of the hood conservatives and stuff, these neoconservatives who, like Mike said, they've been conservative since 2016. I think that's hilarious, but they've been conservative since Trump has been president, and yeah, I think they should watch those types of conversations or even debates, because it gives you an idea of the method of dialogue. And you're talking about the fate of people's lives, like what people's lives are going to, end up being, like what state they're going to be in. Like everything they were talking was policy, policy, policy. So for you to come up here, it shows you to come up here and say that it's not about policy. You're not well read. You're not well versed. You're not thinking about what you're saying. And that's unfortunate. The broke genius said he was stingy, but I learned a lot from him. I'm working on it. Income wise, I'm not broke. I go by net worth. Most people are underwater, thus broke. Yes. And I think that's getting worse as we go. What's going on, Nameless? The Nameless protagonist said they were trying so hard to reframe this narrative, and these Black conservatives are real busy copying and pasting with zero context. Thank you. That's what I was like, copy paste over and over. Like, that is not good. Bishop, what's going on? You had me rolling earlier. You had me rolling. The copy paste is not effective when you don't have any context. A simple thing of context is knowing when this person wrote something and gave their interpretation or gave their conclusion. That's one simple thing you can look up and see, like, hey, they wrote this in 1973. Okay, 1973. What was going on in 1973? Then you go through the test, test the knowledge and see what was happening. I know they ain't in that bathroom. Y'all better not be playing in that bathroom. I know that. Ugh. Oh Lord, you know how kids go in the bathroom, supposed to be going in there, and then they be in there for a long time playing, water splashing. Anyway, we're gonna move forward. But yeah, we cannot afford it. Y'all, hold up. Okay, sorry about that. I have some little babies here, you know. Yes, they were playing in the water. Lord, Lord. Mm. It's auntie, it's hilarious. No, no, they okay. They just like to sit there and and this is kind of my fault because we talking about wash your hands and stuff. And they sitting there with the water, clapping their hands in the water. I'm like, okay, like, we're being clean. Like, okay, all right, get out. Sometimes they take it too far. Anyway, Nameless said, I'm glad. Oh, I got some use in the clip. He's talking about the difference in Yes, the difference in demographics was very, very huge because in the beginning, if you remember Nameless, they were talking about how IQ. He went on IQ. Didn't we have somebody on here letting somebody go and talk about IQ? So with IQ, he was like, there's really no difference biologically. This is not a biological question. This is a cultural nurture question. And yeah, that leads you into demographics. That leads you into Southern strategy. Exactly. And at this time, this is 81. So yeah, this leads you into a lot of different things, particularly with the economy and future, like future ideas of what's going to happen with the labor market. Yes. He paralleled it to the education system and competition. Yeah. He also talked about how when he talked about how the Anglo-Saxons are at a lower position than is what is portrayed in the media, Buckley was like, he ain't really want to touch that for obvious reasons. But all he could really say, Sowell could say was like, okay, this is the evidence. This is what it says. Like y'all ain't that hot. You ain't as hot as you're saying you are. And if people were really serious about what he said, even in that one discussion, they could have began to see, okay, there is a clear separation here between these demographics. Perhaps we need to start discussing reparations for this group that has been an out group for so long. He did throw a fit. He was like, no. Like, how kids be throwing fits and stuff. I don't want to do that. No. He just, yeah. I thought he was being very childish about some of the things that he was saying and things that he not just things he was saying in terms of that conversation, but the way he was trying to redirect things. That was not very professional, Mr. Buckley. Nameless said he pointed out how Asians and Jews were blowing the average Anglo out the water. Exactly. Not only that, but Jamaicans. So you have Caribbean people from the Caribbean who were also doing that, who were also doing much better. And he was speaking on two things: education and the job market, because he was making a clear connection between those two, which is the way it should be. Oh, the average Anglo folks out. Yeah. And I don't think he wanted to hear that. I think he just wanted to, I think he may have thought that he was going to come up and just be like, oh, yeah, you guys are awesome. And here's my evidence. And no, he actually broke down some things. And that was good. I enjoyed that part of it. At the end, I actually think that, and they introduced the lady, I forget her name, but they introduced her at the beginning. And I think she was a regular on Buckley's show, Fire in Line. But she was kind of distracting. I was like, lady, how you gonna ask these simple little baby questions? Like, come on. Yeah. They pointed out how folks immigrating from the West Indies were irregardless classified as Black, even though the performance levels were night and day. Yeah, so the performance level, and it's not just performance level, it's your expected performance level. They expect you to perform low, you perform high. They're like, why? What is going on here? And then it goes into the first statement, which was about culture, nature versus nurture. What is it in your culture? And, even Buckley tried to frame it as it's rugged individualism. It's individualism. Everybody has their own mind and they can do what they want to do. And that doesn't have anything to do with the group. It's not groupthink. It's not anything about a group. Because when you say it's about a group, that implies culture. He wanted to separate people that are doing good, that are not Anglo-Saxon, from having a culture that is more positive and more efficient and that is productive. He wanted to move it away from that. He didn't want to talk about that. He wanted to say, it's about the individual. So if the individual does bad, they just do bad. But then he is the type that would turn around and say, well, look what they did. They did bad. So you guys, we can't expect too much from you. That's how I took what he was saying. Very slick little racist dude, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel about that. Yeah. Naima said, not all groups are the same. And I see even the reputations discussion rebuttals flying right on cue. I had to remind myself this was 40 years ago. Right. Yeah. Yeah. When I was watching, I was like, oh, man. Oh, yeah, this is 40 years ago. Yeah. So the reputation, or you mean reparations? Because it could be both reputations or, reparations discussion. He put yeah, I know what you're saying. It could be both because the reputations, your reputation precedes you, that type of thing. And that goes in with the jobs, that your reputation precedes you. And the reparations discussion, people rebuting that, having rebuttals of that. There are people that are discussing that, it has nothing to do with the cultural, racial, or ethnic group reputation. We hire people based on individual abilities. Not necessarily true. Of course, we know there's implicit bias that's going around. They've been talking about that for a long time. And with the reparations discussion, a lot of people having rebuttals against reparations for ADOS. And ironically, the people that would say, it's so funny that the people that would say that, there doesn't need to be reparations are the same ones who don't even understand what Thomas Sowell was saying in this particular video or in his books or any of his writing, or people who collaborated with him, some of their writings. Well, we don't need reparations, but a lot of stuff that he was saying kind of says that we do, So yeah. No, he didn't say that. Yeah, he did. He did. Well, I didn't hear that. You don't hear a lot because, you hood conservative. I'm a hood conservative. Like, what does that even mean? It means I can do what I want to do. Yeah, you always say that. You always say that, Nameless. He said, using a low resolution lens to identify high resolution problems creates all this misdirection and blatant information omission. Yes, I agree. Max and Mel, what's going on? He said, rugged individualism is more of a rhetorical device than an actual reality. I agree with that. You're rugged out there by yourself. Like I said, it's not going to work. I mean, if anyone can show me in history where being a rugged individual works, then, I'll shut up. I'll be like, okay, fine. It worked right there. It worked right there. So you shut me up. You can keep me quiet if you can show how that person as a rugged individual and what they did, if that can work right now in 2020 or 21 or 22. Can you show that? Does that work? I don't know. But yeah, I put the link in the chat if anybody wants to come up. I put it in there again. I know that a lot of people probably just chilling at home, whatever. But if you want to come up, it's cool. If not, I'll go ahead and shut this down. I appreciate you for sending me that link because I've seen other discussions with Thomas Sowell, and this is reiterating and this is really reinforcing what I thought, from watching some of those and reading. Because initially I was like, I can't go off what people are just saying about him. Like, let me go ahead and read and see what's going on. I'm glad I did. But like I said, hood conservative ninja for well, he tries. He tries. I just, skating uphill is just not my thing, man. I other things to do, help little kids wash their hands so they won't get sick and stuff, and cooking, and he tries. I mean, the thing is, if you go and try, don't try with somebody, like Mike V, BMT, MOT, even Charles. I went back and listened to the rest of the not even the debate, but the end of the debate when they were having an open discussion. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting here grocery shopping, listening to this morning. I was like, wow. Whoa. Okay. It was just, you're being a victim. You're being a victim. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, come on. When you're just talking about policy, it's almost like sunlight to a vampire. You're talking, I mean, that's what you have to do. Whenever you're in a debate or having a discussion with these dudes and even the women that are like that is, just, sunlight. I can't, it's like sunlight and they start melting. Policy. Oh no, I can't take policy. Like, this is a policy. It was the law in certain places. Do they not understand that? It was the law. It was like, you better be racist. Like, okay, as a white person, you better be racist. You better do it. Okay. Well, all right. Like, yes, sir. I'll do it. Okay. You're following the law. That's pretty much that was where I'm from. When my dad described it to me, that was basically the idea. You better be racist. This is the law. And so when that shift happened, you have to remember Black people who were still under that policy. I guess every time I say policy, a conservative, cringes, but under those types of policies, when that was not even gone, but when it was relaxed some, Black people were still in that mindset that it was still there. In a lot of cases, it still was. The Nameless said, I'm glad to have helped to give some context. I always advocate identifying the origins of a movement and not invest so much in just the images. It's how you get juked. Now that right there, yeah. Policy is big government. Handout. Shout out to Too Big to Fail Doctrine and every stimulus check and all the amendments because states' rights. Oh, yeah, that, states' rights. I mean, oh, yes, states' rights, y'all. And see, I don't hear all the streams all the way through all the time. And sometimes when I come back and listen, I'm like, I missed this, I missed that. And so I'll come back and listen. There was, y'all didn't tell me there was a dude on BGS panel one day in Texas talking about he was for states' rights and he was conservative. Like because what had happened was, what's going on, Miss Melanie? What had happened was I listened to something live And then I might have to do something. So I take my earphones out, close my phone, and come back, open the phone again, and it's still back where it was. I haven't advanced it forward. And so I missed all of other stuff that I was like, wait, I missed all this. What the heck? And so I'll start commenting and y'all be like, what the hell? Like I'm commenting on something that happened like 30 minutes ago. And that's cool, Miss Melanie. Thank you. And so I'll be like, what? What? I'm commenting, other people commenting, I don't know what the hell going on. And I'm like, I need to stop commenting because I think I'm in the wrong place. And sure enough, I was like, damn it. So when I listened, I was like, oh hell no. Hell no. I was like, I know he did not say this. I was like, wait, he said he's in Texas, I think Marshall, Texas, talking about, well, it's okay to have states' rights because you know, um, it's my Bosco butter slide. And I'm like, what? What? Like, do you not know what states' rights mean? It was like, the states' rights good. Like, what? You might as well have said the gallows is good. Ain't never hurt nobody. It's just gonna massage your neck. It's not gonna hurt you. It's just gonna massage you. What? Oh, where Craig at? Like, what are you talking about? I'm surprised he stayed up there that long. I was like, wow. But you know what? It's very important because what did Nameless just say? Origins. Okay, identify the origins of a movement and not invest so much in just the images. Is how you get juked. Yeah, Miss Melanie is like, what? Oh, what? Wow, exactly. I'm convinced. Nameless, I'm convinced he would be the dude right now who would be advocating for AC and a slave hut, talking about improve. Y'all notice some improvement right here. This is improvement. And the next step, we're gonna get metal bowls instead of wooden bowls to eat our food out of, because this ain't that bad. Once we get the metal bowls, we're gonna be good. And you know what? The metal bowls work in two ways. One way you can eat out of it. Actually, three. One way you can eat out of it. The second way you can make music. And the third way you put the bowl on your head and you get a haircut. So that's a three-way tool right there. I think that's excellent. That's an excellent idea. What y'all think? Dude, I what? Like it would be like we trying to get out of here and you talking about a bowl that you can use three ways and you talking about like states' rights ain't that bad. The worst part was he was not joking. He was serious. He hadn't thought it through and he really didn't. He said eventually like, maybe I'm wrong about what conservative is or what states' rights is. And then why are you part of that group? Or why are you claiming to be part of that group? Why are you claiming to be assisting this group in its goals or proselytizing this group's ideology? Like that don't make no sense. That makes no sense at all. And we have to start thinking. Nameless, you ain't no good. You up here talk. What you talking about? He said lethal injection ain't so bad. It's just potassium. I'm done with you. I'm so done. He said that's in bananas, right? I'm done. And then you're gonna say bananas. Like, come on, man. Like, why? Why? You already know the stereotype with that. Come on, man. Bro Genius said National Guard had to come and actually shoot down state police, uphold the states. Yeah, wow. That's crazy. Like, but you're right. Like, okay, you had a lot of things that are going on. I mean, with states' rights. Like, okay, for instance, my mom. You had Orangeburg massacre that occurred. You had students shot in the feet. You had these were police officers. Because in South Carolina, a lot of states in the South, states' rights is not just something that I would say it's suspended. It's not but it is activated in certain times. And that seemed to be one of those times. Orangeburg massacre, the Kent State, different things that happened back in the day. You had students that were shot in the bottom of their feet. That means they were running, they were shot, and when they on the ground, they were still shooting. Okay, you had county, state police there, and they were like, "Oh, that's fine. That's fine." Now, if you had these conservatives, they would, "Oh, well, the Bosco conservatives," they will be like, "Well, they shouldn't have been doing this. They shouldn't have been doing that." Basically, what you're trying to say is they shouldn't be black. That's what you're trying to say. And in my opinion, if you're gonna say that, go ahead and say that. Well, y'all shouldn't be black. Well, we cannot stop being black. Well, the next step is, well, I guess you just shouldn't be here. That's what you really need to say. If that's how far you're gonna go, then go ahead and do that. But don't lie and say, "Oh, you guys just being victims. You're just being a victim." Okay. Does anybody say that to a rape victim? A woman who's raped? A woman who is sexually assaulted? A child that's sexually assaulted? You know what? It's been 2 weeks, Jimmy. It's been 2 weeks, Shalonda. It's been 2 weeks, Tyrone. You were hurt and touched up a couple weeks ago, and we've had all the therapy and all the stuff we can give you, and medication, and got you some surgery and all this stuff, and we got you some teddy bears, and we got you some Hershey's Kisses, little kisses. Got you some Hershey's Kisses and kissed you on your little brown cheeks. So are you feeling better? Are you okay? Because we got to get back to you going to school and doing XYZ. We're just gonna rush past everything else. Well, I feel some kind of way about what happened to me. I really need somebody. I need somebody to talk to about this. Stop being a victim. Well, I'm only 7 years old. You're being a victim. You need to stop being a victim, and you need to get up off your bed. And I'm scared. I'm scared every night. I'm afraid that someone's gonna come get me. So I go under my bed. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to go outside. I'm afraid to do the XYZ and all this other stuff. What am I supposed to do? Well, one thing you can start doing is not being a victim. What kind of bullshit is that? And clearly that's a horrible experience to go through for anybody. But we've been going through that for how long? And you're just like, "Oh, stop being a victim." And you a victim too, fool. I know my mom told me not to call people fools, but I ain't gonna stop. That's some foolish mess. Arthur Ford, what you talking about? I like peanut butter cups. Oh, you talking about the Hershey's Kiss? Stop. But it's like that type of situation. That's how I think about it. You got a child that is hurt, and you're just like, "Oh, well, you went through a lot. Wow. I feel your pain." You got if I could find a gif of the concerned white woman nodding her head, writing in her notepad or something. "Oh, I feel your pain. Oh my God. Dark Aquarius, that is horrible. That is the worst story I've ever heard. Oh my God. He's so brave. He's been through so much." I don't know why they whisper. Why do they whisper? As if I don't understand that. He's so brave. He's been through so much therapy, and he's getting better. But he's a victim, and he needs to get out of that mindset. It happened 48 hours ago. You bitch. Are you what? Crazy woman. It happened 2 days ago. 2 weeks ago. 2 years ago. What in the world? Come on. That's how I feel. Now imagine that woman is black. I don't know, Dad said. It just came to me. It was either gonna be Dark Aquarius or Sharkeisha. But that's beside the point. The point is, imagine it's a black woman saying that. That's how I see a lot of the coon service, Bosco conservatives saying that. And you already know it's been hundreds of years. Just pay your debts. Ain't y'all the ones telling us we got to pay our debts? What's going on, Naviet? Like, when can we expect our payment? Who are you talking to? Like, what? Who are you talking to? I'm gonna do you like D.L. Hughley. You pick the date, we'll both be surprised. Shit. Like, I'm not about to sit here and play with you. Like, you need to pay your debts. Pay your debts. Have you or someone in your family been dealing with debt for years and need to pay it off? Call You're a Negro. 1-800 You're a Negro. Pay off your debts now. Y'all need to pay off your damn debts. That's what the reparations is about. Paying your debt. Paying what is written in policy. Paying that. You know, you hurt a child, you pay your debt, you go to jail. In my book, it's a little bit more. But, you know, according to the law, you go to jail. Prison. Excuse me. Jail and prison are different. You go to prison for doing that. That's all, like, you know, all it is. And when I'm talking about we can't afford it, I'm like, you can't afford. And it's not even like just us saying we can't afford it. Yeah, we can't afford to be sitting here misinterpreting people's information and their work. But if you flip it the other way, y'all really can't afford it not giving us the preparations either. Like, we see y'all got the money. We see what you did. You just kind of like went click, click, click. All right, it's 10 trillion. Enter. Like, you just threw that money there. Okay, you can do that. All right, what's next? Like, that's how I see that. And I'm like, okay. And not only is it like you didn't owe people the stimulus check. You didn't owe them that. You had to do it because things were falling apart with the inception of COVID and everything coming through, SARS-2 coming through. What's going on, my Kim? West Coast African, my bad. I see you up there. I was rolling a little bit. But yeah, you see, like, something had to happen to help people at that time. But when we're talking about reparations, when we're talking about something that wasn't discussed on that interview or that discussion with that video with Sowell and Buckley, for me, it was implied. There needs to be some compensation for what is happening. You see these differences, you see these disparities. So what's next? You know, what's the next step? Because he's an economist. And so as an economist, I would hope that, or I believe that there are studies that are done with economists where there's a results section. There is a next steps. You know, this is our future, you know, projects we're going to work on. This is what we need to do. We need to present this for a potential change in policy, a shift in policies. We need to help lobby for this. Yeah, mine too. Broke genius. Yeah, my grandparents' parents were as well. That was slavery. Yes. My grandmother began sharecropping and she was 5 years old. And she thought everyone lived that way. And that was the thing. That's the thing that was honed in when Sowell was having a conversation, and a lot of other things that he has been involved in, worked with, is, you know, people, no matter where they're coming from, they think like you're in that environment. That is the power of the environment. You interpret that this is how everyone lives until you leave that environment and you realize I'm different. Like, something's wrong. You realize there's a difference. Then you realize something is wrong. Yeah. But the thing is, I don't care about the interpretation of us. I don't care about the misinterpretation. Like, well, you guys are this, you guys are doing that. You owe money. That's gonna shut you up. Where my money at? Like, where my check? Where the money at? Well, you know, Sharkeisha, I just, I just think that there are a few things we have to discuss. And what's that? Well, I just feel that if you guys just pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Oh my God, you're so on point. You're like right in my head. It's uncanny. It's amazing. You're right in my head. What? Bitch? What? Bitch? What? What? I just feel like you guys, could work harder and do better. And then, you wouldn't have to worry about reparations as much. Okay, and where is your family from? Well, my family, well, that's not really important. Oh my goodness, it's Sharkeisha. It's so not important because, that's not even the thing that we need to worry about. It doesn't matter. It does matter, Heifer. Where you from? Huh? Where your people from? Well, I think, it's Poland. We're from Poland originally. And, so y'all became white later when you got here. Oh my God. Well, yeah. Oh wow, look at the time. I gotta go. Yeah, you better run, Heifer. You better run. Because I'm about to knock your ass out. You better run. I have dealt with that type of conversation. Seven Colors Dojo, what's going on? You said impression's so good, it's scary. I have been around women that have talked like that, and they be like, well, if you guys pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. I'm like, girl, I got on flip flops. Like, what you talking about? What? You said what now? Like it's proverbial bootstraps. I'm like, proverbial. Yes, that's it. The point is it's owed. The point is it's owed. And when you do any other example of you owe this, you owe that, they agree. Oh yeah, they owe this, they owe that, they owe for this, they owe for that. And then you go and you say, well, what about Black people? Whoa, we're getting into some very, getting into some sensitive conversations, aren't we? Like, no, it's not sensitive. And then I'll say, well, sensitive, what's the deal? What's that? What's all that? And they're just like, it's just you guys, and they'll start with you guys. I ain't no guy. So who's you guys? Because y'all know you ain't gonna say you people. You say that, we're gonna have a problem. So what you talking about? The people that built the country for free? Is that what you talking about? And they're like, oh well, it really gets crazy. And so that's why I'm glad they have and it's important to keep an eye on certain things like the HR 1636, things like that. It's important to keep an eye on it and see where it's going. This is how they think in real life. And my issue is a person, a palm colored person you're talking to, like the one I was just, channeling for a minute there. That's a Buckley Jr. type. They want to rationalize and intellectualize and, be all academic with it. And in reality, I think Buckley, a lot of his sentiments are similar to William Shockley in a way, which is scary. But he's more refined than Shockley. The only person I saw that was able to get Shockley to come out of his shell, where he usually act more like Buckley, but when someone to get him come out of his shell was Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. With the bootstraps thing and all that kind of stuff, and what should be done with us and what should happen and things like that. Like, you don't need to be doing nothing. You done enough. Where the money at? Or, when I say money, I mean, it's a broad range thing. People talk about reparations shouldn't be money, just be money. I understand that. I get that. I'm trying to simplify it. Nitro boosted rocket boots. whose plans they stole from Japan and mad at us because we're asking for them take the road. Wow. Say you're gonna donate some Tim's on credit. What are y'all talking about? Oh Lord. Seven Coast Dojo said, I noticed that other groups got reparations funds and land without doing a case study, just saying, right, y'all were talking about that on our New Styles channel. We were talking about that with I don't know what's that dude's name. I don't even know, but y'all were talking about that. He was like, "Well, isn't there a study or something that happened?" All this stuff. No, they were like, "Hey, we're going to," like I put in the chat on Art New Styles. I was like, "Okay, 82,000 people that got reparations. That is more than zero. We didn't get nothing. Well, it was just 82,000. Just 82,000 people got money." 82,000 people. That's like if Beyonce goes to a city and does a show and she has 2 nights or 3 nights. Within like maybe 2, I would say 2 nights, she might have about what, 70,000. And this is from Michi X. She was talking about it one day. She might have about 70,000 people within 2 days at her shows. About 35,000 a piece per day. 82,000 people is a lot of people to get money and to start up things. At the same time, when they're getting it, you have, because I think they got it in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. This discussion between Thomas Sowell and Buckley was 81. So around that time in the 80s, I think, you have these changes in policy and shifts and all this kind of stuff. West Coast said, I asked where the banks made it over. Yes. Yeah, you got your thinking cap on. Like I was thinking that one day too. I was like, wait, why they ain't getting no bootstraps? Y'all need to pull yourselves up. Don't y'all got insurance? I thought every corporation supposed to have insurance. Right. It's not even comparable when you're saying like, oh, it's not that bad. My Kim, what's going on? She said, Nicole, what's your opinion on the recent resolutions passed in the House condemning anti-Asian rhetoric? I haven't heard of that until just now. Condemning anti-Asian rhetoric. I haven't heard of it. I have to look at that. Because I know that there's been a lot of things going on about anti-Asian rhetoric as far as from Trump's point of view, from him saying like it's a Chinese virus and this and that. Well, the virus started in China as far as we know. Him calling it a Chinese virus, I think it was the way he said that. But I have to see, can you put that link or something in the chat or whatever, or email it to me? Because condemning anti-Asian rhetoric, like, yeah, I have to see that. Des said that 82,000 was more than the number of Japanese American soldiers who served. Oh yeah. Wow. It applies. It's apples and oranges type comparison. Folks got over from immigration. Yes. Okay. So that's the thing. And I understand what they're doing now. He's trying to be diplomatic, but it's too late for him to try to do that. As far as if that's the thing you're talking about, as far as that resolution, Makim. But it says immigration grants from the government when they were broke in Europe somewhere and want to pull this handout rhetoric and sit on the same land from. Yes. Yeah, and so I think that's because of COVID. And Makim is saying Asians, mostly Chinese, have been busy passing laws and stimulus payments. Okay. What's going on, Chaos Rain? Yeah, you have to send me that. Because I know that a lot of people, not necessarily just Asians, but a lot of people will say that who are not descendants of American slavery will say, well, you guys have got it, we got it. And, we got, you guys have what you need. Like, you guys had a black president, you guys had this, you guys had that, but don't want to break bread. How did you get over here? That's always my question. And I'm not saying that just to be saying that as rhetoric on here. Like, I have people I talk to in day to day. I'm like, how did you get over here? And some of them don't, and honestly, some of them don't know. They were like, you know what? I need to look that up. They come back and tell me, they're like, well, this is how I got over here. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. All in the guise of inclusivity. Yeah, I have to look that up because, yeah, black president was an argument. I know Mitch McConnell said that. He said that was a form of reparations. I forget what Torian called him, but it's funny. They're like, well, he was like, that's part of your reparations right there. You had a black president. Okay, that's not, no. Minority is a defensive line, MVP, to making sure black folks catch that stuff. Catch that. Okay. Yeah. But keep the spirit of social dominance by sneaking shanks between bars. Oh, yeah. I think that, a lot of people, they may feel some kind of way or whatever about reparations. And I don't have an issue with what Kim was bringing up earlier, when she was asking about the resolution that was passed in the House condemning anti-Asian rhetoric. That's what you're supposed to do. If you have anti-Asian rhetoric here about you have, or anti-rhetoric against you in your group, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be like, no, this is wrong. This needs to be stopped. When they started saying in the beginning of the pandemic, when they were like saying going in and Asians were afraid that there was going to be some issues with people attacking them and stuff, they went in. When people were saying, oh, this is the Asian virus, Chinese virus, all this kind of stuff, they went in. They were like, nah, we defended themselves. When we stand up to defend ourselves, there's a problem. That's the issue I have. And I got people that I talk to every day are from different Asian countries. I'm like, does that make sense to you? Yeah, that makes sense. Somebody hits you, you hit them back. Hey, that's the problem. I mean, even with HR 1636, people right now have issues with that. Like, why are you talking about this? Why are you talking about that? Why don't you sit your ass down? Ain't nobody asked you your opinion. West Coast said you got to tell them to tighten your Timbs when they argue. Tighten your Timbs, yeah. Pull them up. Okay, my Kim, she said the story is right here. It has some black folks upset for the same reason. Yeah, if yeah, my thing is, if black people are upset, I have to read it. But if black people are upset, okay, I have to see why they're upset. Because if they're upset because they did that, yeah, I have to see it. Because I may be misinterpreting it, and I don't want to misinterpret anything. If anything, I'll be upset that I wouldn't even be upset, actually. I'll take that back. I'll be sitting quiet trying to figure out how we can do something similar, because if somebody's going to be blamed for different things that are going on right now, you're supposed to defend yourself. You're supposed to use the lobbyists and use the government to help you when you need help. When you need something done, you need things allocated, you need things completed and accomplished, you get your government to do it for you. That's what we pay taxes for. That's why we're citizens here. I know I pay ass of taxes. I know other people pay a lot of taxes. You pass a resolution to denounce COVID-19 racism towards Asian Americans, but the House sitting there hemming and hawing, don't know what they want to do, throwing hot potato back and forth when it comes to just studying reparations for us. Yeah, I can see how black people would be mad about that, but I can't really say nothing to yet, not too far yet, because I haven't read the article, but I'll get a chance to try to read that and see what's going on over there. Seven Coast said, no one was talking about how Chinese was locking out and kicking black people from their homes in places like China and continent. Help me understand. Yeah, I don't understand that. Yeah, I don't understand. A lot of people were like, well, this is for our protection and everything. And I'm like, why? What? Like, what are you talking about? And I can't be completely mad at them for that, because if you're going into it and you're in a capitalist society and you have a history of, I'm going to do this as long as I get something back from it, that's business. Right there, that's business. I'll help you. but I need to get something out of it because this is a return on investment. Right. I agree. I agree, my Kim. Like, and you coming from, your background, I agree. Like, you make a lot of sense. The things that you're saying, you're very well balanced, and you just come straight out, no chaser. And that's why, I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you. The Congressional Black Caucus is a complete joke. No, it's okay, Seven Coast. People upset because they have nobody represent them, and it's like, when you put something up, that's why I have an issue with like 1636, HR 1636 coming out, being misinterpreted on purpose, being, portrayed as like another issue, another joke. HR 40, that's something that is so long and has been picked apart for so long, has been picked apart. But there is some good in there. There are some things in there that could be pulled out, that could be used, for expediency to get tangibles. Look how fast it took to release stimulus checks. I mean, I had never seen that. I was like, wow, when you go submit a grant application, they be like, I don't like page 7. I don't like page 55. They're going through it like, and it's something that like, this is going to save people's lives. They're like, maybe. We have like 30 pages of evidence and data. I don't know. They made a decision to help everybody, give out the stimulus money, give the 10 trillion, plus money dollars out there. And for us, it's like, well, who's going to benefit from this? Everybody that's a descendant of slaves. Well, think about it. Like that type of thing. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, see, yeah, you're right, Mike V. I know that. I should have been clearer. You're right. Some regions of China, right. And I think that is true. From what I've heard from people telling me from those areas, like telling me about those areas. Like, they're not necessarily from those areas, but telling me about that, they were like, we don't really mess with them like that. Their ideology is a little bit far off from us. This is what people tell me that are from China, that are here. And they're like, yeah, we don't really, rock with them, but there are people that are starting to rock with them more. And they were like, that's kind of an issue. Oh, Lord, nameless, you killing me on that. That's more that big government. Yeah, that's more that big government. Big government working for you. I don't need big government working for me. Okay. And that's one question you always have to ask. I know somebody asked them that. Did you, who was, I think it was you, Seven Coast. You asked them, did you give your stimulus check back? Did you cash it? Did you give it back? Trying to pass them. I don't know. I have no idea, my Kim. That's something that I really want to talk to you and a few other people about. Like, what is that about? Because I've heard of that and I've seen it and I'm like, I don't get it. The new trend of people trying to pass themselves off as Black. There's been 3 cases this month and we're not even through September. And not only that, but you see it on a lot of the, because I dibble and dabble a lot of like makeup channels and makeup, hair, beauty type stuff. Different channels on here outside of the sector. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, when I'm looking at some of the hairstyling videos or makeup videos, and I'm like, this woman is not Black. You're passing yourself off, and I don't get that trend, but yeah. Like one video, she's playing, she's cosplaying as a Black woman, but her channel, it's a palm colored woman, but on the videos with certain hairstyles that are quote unquote ethnic hairstyles, she is, and I didn't even realize it. I was like, I just saw that one video someone sent me. I was like, oh wow, she's pretty and everything. And I went and looked at her channel. I said, hold on, what the hell? She palm colored. She was just cosplaying as a Black woman on certain videos. That was crazy to me. Yeah, blackfishing. Yes. Instagram thoughts. Yeah, I'm done with that. That's crazy. It's really weird. Oh, okay, Nameless. Yeah, because you were talking about a lot of the herbivores, and I have to go back and re-listen to some of your videos because I'm trying to understand. Like, I'll listen to certain people's videos because they're very dense, and then I'll go and read, and then I'll go back and listen, and that helps. That helps a lot for me to really absorb what you're saying. I want to know, yeah, how many dudes are non-black trying to do the same thing? And they have a lot of those masks that they can wear. What's going on, Art New Style? Professor Art, he said, peace to the Queen of Science and Leo's sister. How are you doing? Yeah, that is somewhat the new blackface, in my opinion. They have these, like I was saying, they have these masks that they wear to make a palm colored man look like a black man. Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. He's just doing something, doing his thing, I guess. Because I was like, to me, I didn't know about Sean King until it was told to me. Um, and I was like, wow, am I getting old or something? Like, I didn't know. He looked like one of my cousins, honestly. I was just like, okay, whatever. Like, but then they were like, oh, he ain't black. I'm like, okay. Like, he literally looks like one of my cousins. And my cousins he has lighter hair, actually. He has the same cut of hair, and he doesn't wear glasses. But I was looking at him. I was like, okay, this dude, yeah, that guy, Nameless. But yeah, I just felt like I needed to get that out. I'm glad that y'all came here. I have put the link in the chat. I'll put it in there one more time. But I'm just, in general, please, let's try to just try to, when you're going through and seeing something, try to read it or understand it through what's going on, Michael Cavanis. Try to understand it and try to avoid misinterpretation. Paul Wall, no, Paul Wall, no, no, Paul Wall, he's palm colored. Yeah. I don't like Paul Wall like that. I don't know. Something about him. I don't like it. I think the only song I really heard of Paul Wall that I like was no, not even song. I think it was Sitting Sideways. But the only verse that he had I like was Tipping. Still Tipping. That's like a long time ago. That's the only song. He had a couple songs that were okay, but him as a person, I'm like, no, I'm good. I know he did Mike V, but I don't care. He said white chocolate. I don't care. I don't like. It's just something about him. I don't know. He seemed like like he's the people's champ. I don't care about him being no people's champ. The yo dudes, the Michael Rappaport type. Yeah, I don't Mark the Marky Mark type dude. I don't know about him. Like, he seemed like he live in a trailer park, but when he go hang with the crew, he always in the hood. But then he'd be like, all right, y'all, see y'all later. He always be like leaving quick. And be like, why you leaving so early, man? I'm on my grind, man. I'm the people's champ. I'm on my grind. And we're like, where you going? I gotta go. Yeah, you gotta get back to the trailer park. You gotta get back to the trailer park. That's what I think about him. He just seemed like, what's going on, Sensei?
Oos. How you doing, Sister Nicole?
I'm doing good. And I was just a little frustrated, but I think I'm good now. They're over here talking about a lot of good constructive topics here, quote unquote constructive. So what you thought about the whole idea of Thomas Sowell being misinterpreted? I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was fixing my mic because I'm trying to
Okay.
connect it. So just give me one moment.
No problem. Oh Lord. They ain't here talking about what they gonna do. And we have, I will say, you know, a little window into my life there. We have movie nights, and we're gonna let the children pick the movie. They said Vlad TV married his sister. Ugh, I can't stand Vlad. Those people trying to pass themselves would be of concern. Yes, yes, my Cam, you're right. That's the Rachel Dolezals and the what's the girl name that just recently, what's going on, Micah? Where's your mother? The one, what was her name? Jessica X, the lady in New York or something that was trying. It was a palm colored woman passing off as a black woman.
Oh, you're talking about Jessica Krug. I was just about to mention her, the Afro Latina activist that profited. Yeah. She profited, and I ain't not a dime went back to the community though.
Right. And see, I'm not speaking of Jessica X that's up here. It's a joke. I know that Psychopathia has talked about, he called her Jessica X because, a play on Malcolm X. And, Jessica might have felt some way. But I'm not talking about her. I'm just, there was a little dust up in the chat room, whatever. Right. He said Becky should. Yes, you ain't good. Oh, you ain't nothing. All right, you talking about some Becky Shabbat? Yeah. And so he said, he was like, we got introducing Jessica, Jessica Krug. I was like, Krug? What? It was funny. But yeah, that's something that would be an issue because that's that reach back problem. Well, I got a great grandma twice removed, who, she was octoroon-ish, and I feel like I'm entitled to at least $5 million. What? You get 5 million slaps. You ain't about to get $5 million. No, you can go on with that.
Exactly. Like I said in the chat, the word minority is going to be the trick bag in the coming discussion of my reparations, because as that discussion is happening, you're going to have a bunch of people claiming to be a minority the same way that they were doing it with small business and getting small business loans and being registered as a minority owned business. But when you walk in to said business or conduct business with quote unquote minority business, you're like, hold on, wait a minute. Where are you from? Oh, you from India? Right. Where you from?
Kansas. Mm-hmm.
You from Kansas? Your family's from Poland? You're a minority owned business? Right. Okay.
Right. Right. And that's the thing. And see, with admixture and everything going on, that's going to be more prevalent. That is going to be more prevalent. And that I don't have an issue with. The issue I have is like people out here perpetrating like, well, I am from Iceland. And I do have twice removed. I have an octoroon. Like that. When you start slowing down the description, you're like, wait,
right.
Not? Like, well, what is a minority? What is it? And so that discussion that Sowell and Buckley had, really, it's so crazy how that's like almost 40 years ago. And I mean, more than 40 years, if you look at the things that he wrote.
Right.
But I was like, wow. And now we're in this time talking about this right now.
It's almost as if nothing changed.
Yes, it's like nothing's changed, but then you have, instead of Buckley saying what he's saying to Sowell, you have Bosco conservatives saying what he's saying.
Bosco conservatives. I like that one.
What? I just, I was like, wow. Okay, so you have this transfer of brain technology to the person who was supposed to be established as the minority to get these set-asides.
Right.
Now you have the mentality of the person that's trying to keep you from getting further set-asides. Like, where did you do that at? Like that, how, Sway? That's crazy.
I mean, every time they get close to losing the game, they change the rules. So and we seeing it in real time.
Yeah. And that's why I asked people that are older that were alive back then, like with the Tony Brown report, Like when he had discussions on his, like Tony Brown, he was so awesome to me. And you had people that were like Donahue, like different things, and like now you watch it like 144p, like it's so grainy and messed up. Like you can't even see it at 720 sometimes. But they were there like when it was on TV, like the first time. You ask them like, have things changed? Are they just the same? My grandmother, she's in her 90s, and she's like, things are pretty much the same. Like she said, as far as like so on a big level, she said, no, we have made strides here and there. She's like, but I thought that things would be a lot different. But you have to think from her perspective. She meaning things haven't changed as much as far as like who's doing what, like who's controlling what. But she's like, we've made strides because I don't have to work in the fields anymore. And I was like, did you like how was the transition? Because she's in that generation where they transition from
Right.
working in the fields as sharecroppers and thinking that that was everybody's life to realizing like I'm black, I'm different, and this is wrong.
Right.
To getting married, and then she grew up in a time where they couldn't go to school all year.
Mm-hmm.
They had to leave and go and tend to the farm, and so you never can get ahead in school, and you end up dropping out, or you end up just it's so hard you can't finish. It's just really crazy. And so like you get married young and to hold down land, have children, like a lot of kids to hold down land and keep it. And so I
Right.
was like, you transitioned into working. So how was that? She said it was hard. And she said some days, like when she first started, she's like, she knew that it was some problems like with that transition because she was working on a job out like long hours. And she's like, man, if I could just be on the field again. I was like, wow.
You know what?
Wow.
Oh
The
man.
programming, man. Like I was like, oh wow.
Oh
And
man.
for somebody like a boss conservative to say like, oh, she's a victim. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
really?
You know what's so interesting about what you just said about having the kids to hold down the land, but
Mm-hmm.
that model has been revamped into holding like Section 8 apartments,
Good.
not physical land, but Section 8 apartments and having no value. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been fighting for equality while the other teams are building equity. And for the brothers or women that speak about it, they're like being hushed or swept under the rug. Like, hey, wait, we don't talk about that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And to further build onto that, it's like even when I look at the very nature of a lot of you know black communities, I noticed that no one really works in their particular community. They all work outside of the community, and the way it's set up, you have the check cash in place because no one has a bank account, right?
Mm-hmm.
The liquor store, it's Friday. You done worked hard, TGIF. So you go to the check cash in place, right, to cash a check that you just finished busting your tail for outside of your community, building up another person's community, to come back to your community, cash that check. Then you go over to the liquor store to celebrate that you went through a hard week, right? I coined it celebrating poverty. And then you get famished, right? Because the liquor is just going to dehydrate you. So what
Right.
food options do you have available to you in a food desert area? You have a chicken spot. You got Kentucky Fried Chicken or Obama Fried Chicken, right? In Brooklyn in
Right.
particular. So you go to Obama Fried Chicken. You're pretty much putting all of these things in your body and shortening your life expectancy for
Mm-hmm.
what? And then you're feeding the machine by producing more kids that you're not really teaching them about like financial literacy or other things while you have so it's like a very very crazy paradigm. And from your example, it's like rinse and repeat but in a modern era, and it's sickening to for those who are cognizant of it and knowing that when you need more people to stand up and speak on it or drive change, they're comfortable with going back to the field, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah. And that's why, like, from what you're saying, I That's why I find it so important to talk to older people if you have them. But it's hard because, like you just said, it's really a disgusting paradigm. It's a downward spiral because how many of them people that you're talking about, you're describing in those situations have someone older than 50 they can talk to that they trust. I'm blessed to
Exactly.
have that. And then it is downward spiraling because the young woman or young man in their 20s, they're doing that. They're carrying themselves this way,
Hmm.
and they die young. It's I mean, I'm sorry to say, it is the mouse utopia.
Yeah.
Because you die young. You have fun, die young. Have
Ex-
fun, die young, over and over and over. So nobody passes any information down. And that was one thing I mentioned in that particular, I think one of the last videos I did on the subject, because, and this links with Thomas Sowell's discussion with Buckley as well, because it's indicating some of the rules that you have to follow within certain cultures. Like there's certain rules and regulations you have to follow. He was asking a question, why do they do this? Why are they smarter? Like what is it? Like he compared Mexicans to Chinese, I believe it was, and he said, in chemistry, Chinese is 10-1, comparing them to Mexican. Whereas with Mexicans to Chinese people, if you look at like law, it's 3-1. He's like, so you have 3 Mexicans to every Chinese lawyer. Is 3 Mexican lawyers. He said that's 3-1, but 10-1 beats anything, beats 3-1 every day, no matter what field. And he was like, why is that? It's how you're
Right.
raising the environment. It has nothing to do with biological, um, you know, uh, that has nothing to do with necessarily biological imperative even. That has to do with your culture, how you're raised. And that's why I go back to a lot of things, because when they're conversation, they're basically talking about you have to go back younger and younger and younger.
Exactly.
Start there.
The interesting thing that I raised up, and I had this conversation with Art and Style, that there's a lot of relatability missing in early childhood development in terms of like the public school system, because not many black boys get to see teachers that look like them. They're lucky if they get it at middle school, but normally it's like high school, F that, and then college, maybe, right?
Right.
So it's like in the most promising time of these young black boys' life, they're not getting that relatability. They're not getting the positive role model that can steer them in the right direction. They just have to weather. It's just the same way that in some of these LMI communities, right, low moderate income communities, that the mothers think they have this level of solipsism where like they're the only ones going through pain, even though they have 2 or 3 children, that they're just getting them along until they're 18, kicking them out with no training, no life skills, and expect them to be the next Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. So it's like, how can you require, or how can you ask for, like, you have such a big ask of children that you're not even providing a push for, and then when they go to public school, they're not having the relatability piece being met. Plus, the boys in particular being harshly graded because
Mm.
that's set up as per HR 1636. Now they're starting to review the information, but I really wanted to put it out there on people's radars outside of Green Gorilla doing it, because this is something that's talking about black men and boys. And if anyone's going to take that plunge and have children, this is what they're going to subject the boys to, right? They're saying this is a study, but there's 3 other bills associated with this bill. And I wonder exactly what is the purpose of them doing it now after so many decades, because there seems to be a pattern, as per our analysis on the Man Not, there tends to be a pattern where they do all the damage, and then decades later they come out and they're like, oh, we're sorry, we were wrong, and all of this stuff was made up,
Yeah.
and then expect us to just be able to recover after they just shot us in both kneecaps, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. It's like As far as the, why are they doing this now?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, well, they don't have a choice a lot of times that they do things. They don't really have a choice. If you look at the numbers, birth rate numbers, you look at, what is the scale saying? Do this now or wait until there's this consumer class that has left this country or is no longer here
Right.
because they have completely been assimilated. The admixture is complete. Like, it's very strange because things that they want to occur, when they start occurring, they want to slow it down.
Mm-hmm. And one of my major concerns, right, is the whole Rainbow Coalition history being mandatory in public schools. So
that is.
So now you want to give Black boys aid in education, but you made this mandatory. So what are you really trying to inject into? Right. So it's like, oh, we gave you help, but you're fast forwarding the bussification of Black boys and men.
Said bussification. God damn. Wow. You ain't right. Thank you, 3M, for that super chat. He says, Sister Nicole, I really appreciate you. And Kendra, both of you are very informative. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. I try. I see some things. It's I don't know what it is. Like, and that's something I might have to study. When we have conversations on here, and then when I get off, like I read, you do what I do. And I'll be thinking like, man, I've heard this before. And then somebody send me an email like, check out this video, like nameless, like, you got to check this out. This goes with what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's it. Like, I feel like Charlie Brown. When I go and watch the video, I'm like, that's it. Like, yes, that's what I was trying to, and not necessarily that video itself, but the conversation within the video. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's, that just blows my mind how that happens. But, people will say something, or we're having discussions or whatever, and then I go off and I'm like, man, this will make a good project, and then I look up, somebody's already doing a stream on. I'm like, oh man, I was thinking that'd be a good project. I'm just, action beats thought and interpretation any day.
Right.
I just sit and listen and learn something. Thank you, Fred Holiday, for putting that super chat in there. Appreciate it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with contributing your viewpoint because it's always appreciated. You know that.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand, like what you were talking about just a minute ago is like based on survivorship bias. This idea that people are cherry picking, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong.
Right.
It's like it's error. You're making a logical error. You're trying to determine like who's good and who's not, who's gonna fail, who's gonna do well. Like you're just making a prediction, but your prediction is based on subjective ideas, right, instead of objective. Right. Objectively, a boy is going to think X, Y, and Z. He's going to do X, Y, and Z. Why are you stopping him from doing that? Why are you trying to bussify this boy and he's 5 years old? Why are you telling a boy that he is a girl?
Exactly.
What's the basketball? Dwayne Wade?
Oh, his name is Zaya now.
Okay. Why are you trying to tell your son that he's your daughter all of a sudden? Like, this does not fit.
Because there's a financial incentive.
You are as an image within not only your profession, right, as a professional basketball player, but within this environment that you have your child in. We are in California, mm-hmm, even if you're not here, you have people who are, seeing you on television, mm-hmm, who are in California, and you don't know how many kids, not even, I shouldn't say kids, boys, right, I see around with skirts on, the little tennis skirt, yep, where shorts in the back and a skirt in the front. Mm-hmm. They call them half and half. And I'm like, okay, that's not cool. I'm just saying, but yeah, that
Yeah, it is. It
that's
is
the
absolutely
trade-off.
ridiculous.
That's the trade-off right there. And that's why I was saying be careful with that 1636. Like you just said earlier, it has some things connected with it.
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
They want to provide medical care for Black boys and men. Now, I theorize this is what they're going to do. Oh, he needs all types of therapy, and we can prescribe him this medication. It's like doping him up. Really, it's like they're doing a covert way of keeping that class down, but they're wrapping it in like a program or a promise that is going to make things better. So they want to look at things like mental health and education and mental awareness. But on the flip side, which is interesting because you have women that once this bill was even introduced, women were like, why is it all about the boys and men? And what about the girls? What about the women? Completely disregarding all of the packages that have already been in place by the state for them. But yeah. I digress.
But see, it's always a flip and turn, because the flip is, they're okay. The established idea, resolution is, this bill, we're going to help Black boys. We're going to help Black men. The flip. What about Black girls? The flip and the dip and all that kind of stuff. And you're like,
double dipping.
You have all this. What we do? I's got rights. Agency, right. That type of thing. It's like, really, you come on, like you don't read. I was reading Essence. I didn't have time to read all them long documentations. Like, okay.
Right, but then would have the audacity to start a platform like YouTube and talk about political issues that they have not read. Which is interesting because I coin intersexual feminism as white supremacy light for that sole purpose, right? Because a lot of the talk has been, oh, white supremacy is dying. Listen to the verbiage now. It's dying. It's not dead. When something is dying, that's when it becomes more ferocious because it needs to get that last ditch effort out to protect itself. It goes feral, right? And when it does die, what is it being replaced with? And then I just look at the political climate with a lot of the Black women that are being put into positions of power right now. And I question their motive, right? Because when you look into when they finally post pictures of their family, you notice that their family structure isn't like you and I. They have a Kamala Harris situation. And, they're by the people for the people and whatnot. So it's like, is this really the person that's going to?
It's a flip and flop.
Right.
Flip and flop whenever necessary. That's what was it called? Cuttlefish. Shout out to Freeze Love, the comedian. Freeze Love is the first person I ever heard describe a cuttlefish. And the flip and flop, they have these male, you have female cuttlefish and male cuttlefish, but there's two types of male cuttlefish. There's one cuttlefish that's male. He gets all the girls, gets all the females, right? Very beautiful, all that, he has a certain pheromone. He got the right cologne. He's a high value cuttlefish. He got his thing going on, right shoes,
right?
Little cane, got the PT Cruiser, for the weekdays, and then he's got the black Tahoe on the weekends. He's doing his thing, right?
Right.
Then you got the other male cuttlefish that he pretends he's a female. He puts on the lipstick and stuff. And he's like, girl, I'm gonna get ready with you, in the mirror.
Like Bugs Bunny with Elmer Fudd during hunting season.
Yes. And then he has that little, like, he's poking his lips out like that. Like, I'm ready, all this stuff. So girls, and then they go out to the club, to go out to the bar to get drunk, get a little tipsy. They come home, girl, I'm tired. I gotta get up early tomorrow, but I don't feel like getting on this train. I don't want to drive. Can I just? Yeah, man, you can sleep with me. He's one of the girls. He sleeps with the girl, gets it in. Right. That's the other male cuttlefish. Sneaky as hell.
Yep.
You gotta watch out for him. And because he'll try to sneak it in when he got a lipstick on.
A Joanna Man situation.
Exactly, but reversed. And he, so that's what I look at. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. When you see that flip and that flop that happens, and they've been trained, because you cannot, I don't think that's a natural human response to different things. You have to be trained and indoctrinated to do that, and do it very well, and for people not to be able to pick up on it in large numbers. And it's
Exactly.
done in such a way where if you do pick up on it, you're ostracized. If I say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you want some BS, they're like, hey, no, she's not. What are you talking about? This is normal. You
Right.
guys are crazy. Get her out of here. And I'm getting drug out like, hey, this is not right. And they're like, nah, get her out of here.
Right.
That's,
You
that's,
know,
that's the system in action.
it makes me think about the fact that, homosexuality, right, used to be in the DSM or part of the DSM, and now it was taken out for various reasons. However, when you do a deep dive on these cases with these individuals who practice alternative, quote unquote, alternative lifestyles, you notice that there is trauma there, and they had no. It's either they were neglected or they have trauma dealing with sexual assault, and there was no therapy or someone there to pretty much explain to them what just happened to them, and that the fact that it's not normal, and that has become etched into their identity, and they thought it was normal. We kind of we went over that, West Coast and I, in the dojo, when we were showing the 1 in 6 YouTube channel, where there was a gentleman who he was sexually assaulted at 9 years old, and immediately they reimagine him as the criminal, and they're like, oh, what did you do? What crime did you commit? But he was on the phone with them. He told them that he wanted access to the case files. They wanted to protect the assailant's identity, even though he was the victim in the situation and needed access. And then when he was there, a woman at this juncture asked him, "Oh, did you give it to him, or did he take it?" And was making all types of gestures. You had the people in the office, gossiping. And
Wow.
when he defended himself, they stood there with the dumb dodo look. And as he was explaining, he was like, at some point I felt very uncomfortable being in there, and I thought what happened to me was normal. Like, and that's the sentiment that happens to a lot of the people that live in that lifestyle, but on the flip side, they try to pass like, oh, there's a genetic thing with living the alternative life. If that was the case, how come you can't reproduce? The only way for you to reproduce is to convert. Help me understand that. And if it wasn't that deep as you guys say it is, then why are you targeting a demographic of children from pre-K to 12th grade? That whole you're going after the entire education system, but it's not that deep. So I'm starting to connect some dots and ask some questions about this, because I do want clarity outside of just my theories, right? Because don't let a black man have an opinion about this, because then he's toxic.
Right. And in actuality, the toxic man is what you're describing, the one who would attempt to make a young boy. Thank you, 3M. Hold on. He says, for that super chat, he says, do you think a lot of the sexual reassignment have to do with the transhumanism program? That's a huge question. I'm not sure at this time. But I was about to mention what Vernon just said. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back to that, 3M. Yeah. So yeah, Nameless just said 3M has the right idea. Yeah, I have to come back to that. I'm gonna just hold that up there for a minute.
Right.
But the person, the toxic masculinity would be the man who's trying to flip and flop the young boy who had gone through that traumatic experience or whatnot, and make him feel like, trying to reposition reality. Like, this is what really happened. No. Like, that's toxic to do that. A female that does that, you're a toxic woman. Like, that's horrible. to do that. And then the person that reiterates that later on, parents,
Right.
like I was saying earlier, this is comparing that of a child being molested or a woman being raped as, similar, like a very small scale compared to what our ancestors have gone through and what reconstruction, redlining, and everything else has done. Jim Crow all the way up until now, what we see on television in real time.
Right.
Exactly, all the way up until now, comparing that to one woman being raped or sexually assaulted or something like that, and they just being like, okay, it's been 2 weeks, like why you being a victim? What's going on? Why you still feeling this way? Saying that is toxic. Not letting a person be a human being, like, yeah, I think it was on Art. Shout out to Art New Style. I think on his channel they were like, yeah, you forgot, like, do you realize, like, yeah, we're human beings? Like, I think it might have been on Art's channel when, or either BGS, where someone was like, yeah, did you forget, like, we are human? Like, and the lady's like, oh, yeah.
Right. I remember that.
What? Like, you're human? Who said, who says, like that type of thing? What's going on, Double C?
They didn't get the memo on that because White Zaddy, the White McManus, told them that's not the case.
Yeah. And then the flop is, that's the flip, like, what? You're human? And the flop is, well, all this time I've been looking at TV and I've just been indoctrinated by the media. Heifer, if you don't sit your ass down. Like,
you know what killed me the most about that? Because let's take it a step further. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this. The sins permitted are just as punishable as the sins committed. Right?
Yes.
Now, you have a whole group of sisters that will opt in to being friends with these alternative lifestyle people, and then when they get with their men, they force their man to accept them, and then if their man gets caught with them, then they use the same labels and terminology to emasculate that man. But when that man was using those terminologies and he was against it, they were calling him toxic. So it's like, oh, you gotta accept my friend who likes men, and if he dress up like a woman, that's him. Let him live and love out loud. And then now your man is the one who's sleeping with the loving out loud, bearded lady.
Oh.
And now you calling him a homosexual.
Loving out loud. God.
But he was just loving out loud, sis. What happened?
You were living your truth.
Exactly.
I was living my truth. Like, oh wow. See, and this is one thing I wanted to say, like, I'm gonna have to write it down. Like, I'm so backlogged with like topics and stuff. Oh Lord. And then they must be sitting like, you guys need to read this, read that. I'm like, what? Nameless, you the main one, like you and VGS. Okay, y'all gotta read these books. Okay, I'm trying to read these books. I'm trying to keep up. It's hard. Like, I'm reading these books and then I'm reading my own stuff for work and I'm reading stuff on the side. Y'all be killing me. Nameless be like, fam, you gotta read this. You gotta read it. Like, I'll be hearing your voice. I'll be like, man, I'm reading. Like, but the transhumanism point, because I was reading something about transhumanism. Exactly. Right. That's it. I'll be like, oh my God, trying to keep up. And then Artisan on there today, he got he talking about foundation. I'm like, God dang, I hadn't read it. I'm like, I'm behind.
It's all right. I'm behind too.
There's a little cartoon from a long time ago, a little mouse. He's sitting there trying to study. He at his desk, got his little glasses on, little hair sticking up. He's like, I have so much to do. I'm so busy. Papers flying all over the place.
Right.
I'm so busy. His little legs dangling. That's how I feel. Like, he's like, I don't know, his wife keep coming up and giving him little cups of coffee. And he's like, get that away from me. I can't. I just got so much to do. That's how I feel. But I'm trying to organize it. And so, like, the transhumanism stuff, there was I think Tariq Nasheed, he did a transhumanism stream, and I was like, dude, if you don't stop, because you don't cut it out. Cut it out now.
Right.
Because he's not, that's not his field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did his best of the information that he got, and how he was able to interpret it, which goes back to the topic. We can't afford to misinterpret a lot of people's information that they put out there.
Exactly.
We can't afford to do that, because if you're the lesser group, if you're the out group, you can be the guinea pigs because you're in a desperate position.
Yep. And see, I have no qualms about handing off the load or part of the load to people that are better qualified or better suited to do it. I think another issue is the fact that a lot of people want to be the front runner of a lot of these findings, as opposed to having a collaborative effort, having all hands on deck. That's why I proposed, every black man that's in the manosphere should have been on HR 1636. All hands should be on deck. Even if you're not going to make content about it, at least have awareness about it and provide your viewpoint and conversation, because there can be a pretty much a piece of the fine print that some of us are missing and that you are privy to and catch on to and can enlighten us to fine tune the agenda that we want to have for ourselves, as opposed to someone spoon feeding us what they want to give us. Like, oh, all we have is McDonald's. You're going to enjoy these chicken nuggets, even though it ain't real meat.
I'm like, well, I know it's not real meat.
Right.
Well, I don't love it, but I guess it's okay. It's okay. Of course it's okay. I'm telling you it's okay. Like, okay. I've been eating this long and I'm not dead yet. That's what people say. Yeah, I've been doing it this long. I'm not dead yet. But it's not about you.
Right.
What about you when you're here? Like I was talking with Jason the other day. I was like, when I'm not here, I don't want to die with regret. I don't want to have I want to have something here when I'm gone. I don't want it to be, because basically, if you think about it, maybe this is black pill, I don't know. But when you're gone out of this physical realm, what is the evidence that you existed? And having, good works, having your children, having things here that either came to fruition under your word and your action, or you put into fruition directly. Like, that's how people know, okay, this person was here. Sensei 7th was here. Nameless was here. Like, this is what you did. Not like, Nikole was here on a bathroom stall. Like, come on. I'm talking not something silly like, oh, I was here and I helped to push forward some mess that hurt, not only hurt black men, but eventually inadvertently hurt black women later on.
Right.
Or was rewritten to directly hurt black women and black girls later on. No, I'm not gonna be here for that.
Yep.
No, because I just really wish that people would look at things more holistically, and not just their rugged individual selves.
I do too, Nikole. And I'm debating on if I should say this, but I'm like, what the hell? I'm on as well. I'm starting to see some parallels with the way this alternative lifestyle is starting to meet you don't need to have children and we're going to be the first, like this delusion that's set in a lot of brothers' minds about being the self-made trillionaire or millionaire of the first generation, but they're not changing anything, or that there's no plan in place for them to even do that. They're just coming up with these ideas, and it's against the natural order in life, the same way this alternative, quote unquote, alternative lifestyle is. So it's almost like you dudes are you guys mission statements are aligning and you don't even know it. You don't even see it because you're supporting things that don't support the life and growth of our people.
Yeah. And it's not even the life and growth of themselves.
Exactly.
That's the thing. They're thinking that, the boss conservatives are just focused on the next 45 days. I think that MOT mentioned, he's like, after 45 days, hopefully y'all get this together. Next 45 days, like after this 45, I hope y'all, and it's so poignant that he said 45, and it's we got the tangerine tyrant, and he's 45, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, after this, like, that's it, you're done. And they were like, oh no, there's more to come. Oh, really?
Like what?
Joy. There's
What
more
could
to come after this? Joy. I'm so looking forward to it. Wow. Either way, they won't have anything to say. I mean, think about what Mike V has said before, and other people have said this. I've heard, he's like, they're done. Like after this, they're done. They have nothing left. So, like you said, they're gonna be politically homeless, and they're gonna have their little cups, the paper solo cups from the doctor's office, and like, hey, hey brother, can you spare $1? A quarter, not $1. I'm sorry, a quarter, because that tells you they've been there a while. The lower the amount that they ask, and you'll be like, nah, I'm good, dog. I'm good, man.
Exactly. The bizarre part is that these are the same brothers that say in the same breath that, oh, I want the betterment of my people too. And they have these discussions of generational wealth. It's like, how, bro? You don't even want kids. You don't have kids. So what do you mean? Why are you talking about generational wealth and the betterment of our people if you don't want to create more astute versions of our people?
Yeah. Or help the ones that are already here.
Exactly.
A lot of and the thing is that you're in states that are not conservative states. They're not red states. And so since these are your communist, socialist, horrible, demonic, blue states that you're in, there are plenty of social programs that you could be a part of, and inject your conservative values into those programs where necessary. Since you have so much money, you got so many zeros in your bank account, as a donation, since you're so philanthropic, as a wonderful boss conservative, that would be something that I would do, to help, to say, hey, they're not doing too well over here on this side of Atlanta, but here in Michigan, we're trying to, or in New York, we're trying to help to build up what we're doing, and perhaps have a partnership with some of them in Atlanta, some things in Atlanta. Let's have a partnership, with Atlanta or whatever. You're not even in the state that you're saying like, oh yeah, we're diehard conservatives. Yeah, we do this. Okay. Make some connections with people that are in those conservative states, man.
Exactly. And then all the excuses come out like, oh, you want me to save the world and blah, blah, blah. I ain't giving my money to no lazy. It's like, come on, man. White daddy talking points all in your mind, rent free.
Strategy.
Right.
I'm not giving my pennies to no lazy, shiftless Negroes. Like you sound like the freaking the birth of a nation. Like you sound like what is this? You sound like D.W. Griffin. Like you sound horrible, man.
It's like they completely disregard OTJ programs. Like you don't want lazy people, train them to not be lazy and provide an incentive for them.
I was in the grocery store and I was like, why don't you just give them a job and just train? Why don't you show them how to get a job? Why don't you show them what to wear? They show up shiftless. They show up, they don't even have the right outfit on, blah, blah, blah. And then there was something else about, they're poor. Mike was like, well, they're in these states. He's like, oh yeah, with this big TV and blah, blah, blah. Like what? So now you want to control what kind of TV people buy. You want to control what people put in their mouth. You want to control what people wear. Their belt's not right. Their shoes aren't right. Like you need to just go. You need to be a stylist. Like you should not be. You need to be a stylist, an interior decorator.
Esthetician will be perfect for you.
You need to be a hairstylist. You're on your way. You're on your way to the Broke Risks Academy, and that's what you need to do if that's the case. Because I was listening, like just like with Hood Conservative was saying, with oh, I'm not dealing with these fat broads. I'm not dealing with these fat women. Then don't deal with them. They ain't looking at you. I guarantee you, they're not looking at you. They're looking past you. Right at that Popeye sandwich. They're not looking at you. Trust me, man. Like you're not on their radar. You don't have a smell. You don't pass the smell test. You gotta smell like fried chicken. Like, come on, man. You know,
They
give
need to
me,
smell it. They want the
give me
smell
some
of pickles and olive oil on some chicken, man.
You have to smell like you have to have the smell test. You don't pass it. And he, give me some credit because he was like, well, I just don't have time. It always goes back to the women. If you have an issue with the women, handle that. It's
Right.
not hard to handle that. If you are such a strong conservative, that will not be hard to handle. Like women to deal with and do whatever it is you need to do. Mm-hmm.
I just think sometimes they just want friends. That's why they come. They don't do it around the palm colored conservatives. They have to come to the black spaces like this and try to inject their viewpoints onto us and prove that they're special because maybe their mom told them that they were special once and they took that, ran with it all the way to the bank, and now they're trying to convince us that they're special.
Right. I don't know what Vernon and Crackhead, what name, what are y'all talking about in there? I don't see the word porn popping up over and over. Y'all need to stop doing all that because y'all gonna be having me looking crazy on here when I get like they be like reviewing like why y'all talk about one thing, they talking about porn. What's going on here? What? What?
You use some safe words and different terminology, guys.
Yes, like that's you use some conservative,
Conservative.
Man. Be conservative about your methodology, about your words and your lexicon. We got to switch up, switch it up.
Say you got to say ladies of the night or like adult entertainment.
Right.
the dazzlers. You got to call them dazzlers. We'll know what you're talking about if you call them dazzlers. Because they wear all the rhinestones and shiny stuff.
Yeah, of course. I remember there was a club back in the day called Dazzlers where we used to go. It was funny. That was a funny place. But yeah, y'all in here talking about pornography, prostitution, like what? Come on, man. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to do a video on that with transhumanism. I feel like the Black Brain Trust has done a lot. Shout out to them for the Cashapp again. That they've done a lot with transhumanism. I don't know if people catch it. That's why I was thinking about just like picking a few articles and that they have reviewed themselves very, very well. Well, that wouldn't be hard to do, just any of them. Right. And pick a couple of stream links and put them in and then try to go through because I don't think people catch when they're talking about transhumanism. It's sometimes not as obvious, with some of the biometrics that are being used and everything getting smaller and smaller. So that's one thing. And all of what I'm talking about with transhumanism, this is one thing that Tariq really didn't talk about. He was focused more on the conspiratorial and the hypothetical parts of transhumanism, which are fun to talk about. But when you're talking about it more rationally, you have to focus on policy and people like who are going into the field. Is the field going to go anywhere? Probably not. So are you going to put children into that field? You have 3 sons. He has 3 sons.
Right.
If it were me, I would be trying to get, they're young. I think the youngest one's like 4, maybe 5. Writing out a plan like how to get them into STEM. Transhumanism is not a discipline.
Right.
It is a component of, STEM. But you don't want to be on the back end, behind the 8 ball when transhumanism has encompassed all 4 letters of the word STEM.
Right.
Right now, it is mostly technology and engineering. Of course, there's math in there, but the forefront, technology and engineering, re-engineering, reverse engineering things and getting them more acclimated to our society, right? But at some point, the biometrics and some of the other things going to come in. You don't want that to be fully acclimated and people to be really comfortable with that technology and that math and everything that's going along with it. And you're on the back end trying to get in the door, small fish in a big pond type of thing. So I'm just thinking like, if it were me, if that was my son, I'm not telling him what to do. He can do what he wants with his kids. But you're on the cusp of getting them into that mindset, so they'll be ready. So they will know what it is what they're going into, because they can't make hidden colors 55, 60, 62, hidden colors 7 and 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They can't do that. They can't. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. So, you have to kind of think about it. And I'm just not saying that for him. I'm saying that for anybody. Think about what's going on. And so the transhumanism thing, there's a lot of other stuff that goes with that. And there's a lot of things that go into pushing that forward. As far as jobs, as far as developing the technology and quality control and all that.
I concur.
What did he say? Dad said, what you talking about? He said, crackhead running. They both sound like dude on the corner, crackhead running. Oh, Lord. Y'all killing me. I mean, he does do good videos. I think he did one about siphoning the poison. I got to watch some of those. But yeah, he's talked about a lot of this transhumanism. He and I have talked, on his streams before about, I think Nameless was there. We were talking about some technology and, technology science, new things that are coming and things that are happening, how the development of certain projects works, how you get to a certain stage of working on these projects and why are you doing it. He has really, really good content over there. Y'all gotta check him out. But yeah, I'm gonna go because I have to start wrapping this up because I have to eat dinner. I smell the food in there being warmed up.
Well, thank you for having me on.
It's been warmed up. It's wing warmed up. No problem. I appreciate it, Sensei. 7th, everybody in the chat, thank you for coming. This was another edition of Black Folks Talking Real.
All right, y'all. Peace.
What is that? What is that doing? Oh, I heard a sound in the background, but never mind. Yeah, thank you for coming, 7th. I think he was having some issues a little bit over there, his sound or whatever. This was great. I appreciate y'all coming through. Y'all have a good evening. Once again, thank you for coming, Vernon, Miss Melanie, Detsa, Anna Mae, Nameless Protagonist. Thank you for sending me that video. I will also keep reading Detsa. I know it's a lot, but y'all keep reading, y'all keep studying, keep asking questions. Email me at the link, as you can see, the email address below of the screen that's scrolling. Hit up that Cash App if you feel so inclined. $1, $2 here and there. No problem. I am Miss Melanie. I smell it. It smells like something burning now, but it's okay. 7 goes. Oh, he would say it was a fire truck. No problem. So I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.